भद्रं कर्णैभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागं सस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवा स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदा स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमे स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Let us pray together. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We meditate on the Lord, who is the origin of the universe. Lord, Thou abidest in all, Thou art all, Thou assumest all forms, Thou art the origin and goal of all. Thou art the self of all, Thou art existence, knowledge and bliss. Salutations unto Thee. May the world be peaceful. May the wicked become gentle. May all creatures think of mutual welfare. May their minds be with what is spiritual and abiding. May our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Dear friends, I am very happy to welcome you to a very special service today because our Swami from Toronto, who is a very dear friend, has come, and many of you were here for the retreat that he gave yesterday. Very inspiring and guiding in every respect about a very important topic. And today he will be speaking about again a very practically important topic, and I don't want to speak about it because he is going to speak about it. But let me tell you a few things for the benefit of those who were not here yesterday, that the Swami Kripamayananda ji, he is from the same batch of our monks who were trained at our whatever you may call seminary or monastic school. We call training center. It is, some people say it is not training, it is training. So it is. So we were there together, and he was very well known as a very studious monk or would-be monk. At that time we were not yet, we haven't become monks. So he was very studious and wanted to, really absorb everything, was very friendly with everyone, and we developed a very good bond during those days. And then I arrived here, and after a couple of years, he also followed me to the American continent. He was posted to Toronto, and our another brother who also was with us in training center, who is right now the head of our Boston Center. Many of you know him, Swami Tyagananda. So he was mentioning about this, that how he is head of Toronto, and in whole Canada there is only one Vedanta center. So he has a huge territory, bigger than United States, you see. In United States we have about 14, 15 centers here. So we have very small territories. You see, my territory is limited to Rhode Island, doesn't extend much. So, but he has a huge territory, and therefore he has to be busy, intensely traveling throughout, and so, and his teachings, the way in which he teaches, very practical, very inspiring, also very easy and interesting to imbibe. So we are really very fortunate to have him today to address us a very important issue in spiritual life. So I request him to begin his talk.
Good afternoon, friends. Again, we are meeting after yesterday. It's so enjoyable to be with you. It's maybe your inspiration and your faces that seem that listening and reception that makes it so well. There was nothing much in the talk, but why Swamiji praised, it is because of your ability to receive whatever comes to make it beautiful and accept that. So it's all thanks to you, and I'm very thankful to Swamiji for inviting me to Providence, and I would love to come to this place because it's the first. He was the first one to invite me in US when I came to Canada, and I didn't have the visa for American visa, and it was not certain I'll get or not. But Swamiji said, yes, you come, everything will be arranged, and he printed the name and gave the retreat. And then I said, what will happen? We don't know. Unless you get the visa, we are not sure. But everything happened, and I came to Boston, landed in Boston, and he brought me here. Today also, you see, so much he's doing invited, drove himself to Boston and brought back. His love is so much, he doesn't express, but tremendous love he has for brother monks and for the order, and I think more than that towards the devotees, and of course more than that to ideal. So you have tremendous love, and his wish and prayer for you always there. So Hari for Hari, both words pronounced similar. They rhyme. They are very similar pronouncing, but meaning is different. One is English, one is the local. The Hari, H-A-R-I, Hari means God. It's the name of God, and of course Hari is there. So once one person, elderly person Indian person became sick, and ambulance had to be called. And the ambulance was called, and he went there, and they started driving to hospital. And after a few minutes, the ambulance came back to home. And everybody said that, why did you bring him back to ambulance, they asked. We said, but he wanted to come back home. Come back home? He is sick, he needs to be admitted to the hospital, emergency. But he said, what did he say? He said, Hari home, he said. He was saying many times, Hari home, Hari home. So why did he say that? Then he said, asked the passenger, why did you come back? Why did you say Hari home? I didn't say Hari home, I said Hari Om. Oh God, Om. I was taking the name of God, but that's how we say Hari and Hari, both may make a similar sound. So they really, Hari Om, Hari for Hari means, let us go. There is urgency to reach God, and very nicely this picture depicts the well they have prepared that there's a symbol of God, and the person is running to reach God. So it's not something that we can take it for a longer time, and yes, it will come like that. We have to hurry, we have to be very sincere, and urgency should be there in finding God, in reaching God. That is the thing. Of course, we all know how important it is. We know that whatever we do in our spiritual practice, it is all stored and it's all utilized. It's not that nothing goes in vain Even if we die before God realization, all that will be deposited, all that will be there with us, and we start from that state in our next life. But why to wait for next life? We have to, because God realization is such a fantastic, joyful, blissful state, such a glorious state. Without that, we are very poor. Though we may have $1 billion, we are very poor without God. With God, even we don't have money and other things of the world, we are the richest person because we have got the real gem of life for which this life is meant. We are given so much of power and ability so that we can reach God, we can realize God. It's very rare this quality has been given to us. And if we happen to die before realizing God, so we are missing a great opportunity given to us. It will be a great loss, missing a great opportunity. So that's why we need to have urgency to realize God. That's what it is said. What type of urgency? In Vedanta Sara it is said, what type of, how do we search God? It says, scorched with the fire of an endless round of birth, death, etc., one who wants to realize God should repair just as one with one's head on fire rushes to a lake. So birth and death, again same birth, again same growing up, with all the problems of life and human life. I want to get rid of this cycling again and again and again, innumerable ad infinitum times. We don't know how many times we are born and we die. So again, if we don't realize God, we again do the same thing. It's like failing in a class, in education class. What happens if you fail in some grade? Then again you have to repeat that. Like that, here also we are in that situation. Our purpose of life is to realize God. If we fail in that, you will have to be again admitted in this class, which is called the being born in the world, and start from the very beginning. Read the whole year and give exam. That is, your life's exam is attaining God. So the urgency should be like head has been caught by fire. And what you do when fire catches your head, then you rush to water, to a lake to get a dip so that the fire is doused, it is put off. Like that should be the urgency to realize God. That's what the scripture says. When the person has that type of urgency, then one finds God. When that type of urgency comes, there comes longing to realize God. I want to realize God. Nothing else seems to me to be really enjoyable. The world is not really enjoyable. I want to enjoy the bliss of God that has been done by many in the past. Like Buddha, we would say, from this seat I won't get up. Aprapyas bodhim bahukalpa durlabam. I want that wisdom, that realization for which I have been trying year after year, and which is so rare to attain. And Buddha himself, he remembered 500 lives, and in every life he lived such a wonderful, noble life in every life, serving others and all that. He remembered all. He did wonderful life, but he didn't realize had the wisdom of truth. So he was longing for that. And at the last seat, under the bo tree in Gaya, he said, I won't get up from this seat unless I realize the truth this very night. And in the process, if night passes into day and again night comes, I am not going to get before without having that. May my bone be, this flesh and blood be lost and dissolved. May it remains or not, that doesn't matter. I don't care for body. I care for the goal of realization of truth. That type of urgency comes when then you see that dawns. Sri Ramakrishna was very fond of this, having yearning for God. The only way to have God realization is through yearning. You know, this longing. I want to see you, O Mother. You know how he first realized Divine Mother. So everything was there. One teacher gave some mantra to worship, to be able to worship Divine Mother. After that, it was all her longing and finding that if there is a God, I must see. That was his thing. And when God was not revealing, Mother was not revealing, he becomes so frustrated with that. That's Life is not worth living without God. That thing came to him. Life is not worth living without God. Without God, it's trash. Tuchatvat. With God, everything we receive. And that's why when he was going to end his life, because God had not been realized, that came, that last moment, Buddha said, I won't get up, let this body just melt here. I won't get up without realizing God. Sri Ramakrishna said, I want to realize God, otherwise life is nothing, this life is useless. And that moment comes and God flashes, God realization happens to Sri Ramakrishna. And he wanted everyone to proceed because they have received the bliss of God realization. It is so intense, it's so glorious, so beautiful, that without it, they feel so sad that people live in this world having been born as a human being without having realized God. How much they are missing in life, that makes them very sad. Sri Ramakrishna used to go in a horse carriage and look at the people in Calcutta streets. And he said, people have no inkling towards God. Something has to be done. They are like worms crawling in the dark. That was what he said. Because they have no intention or urgency to reach God. Without reaching God, they are misusing the human life. So precious, so capable, everything is given to them, the wonderful intellect given to them, and so much ability given to them, but not being utilized. One young man comes to Sri Ramakrishna. Niranjan was his name. Young man, but you see how good samskaras he had. He had the wish to realize God. Came to Sri Ramakrishna once, and Sri Ramakrishna always used to say, come again. So his saying come again used to draw people to him. People feel attracted to him. Yam writes very beautifully in Gospel, when first time he came and he said, come again. He said, Sri Ramakrishna asked me to go again to him. So I feel like a pull from him. So I feel attraction from him. So I have to visit him. Like that Niranjan visited second time. And what Sri Ramakrishna says? Sri Ramakrishna says, my boy, days are passing. When will you realize God? That was his concern. He was a young man, 17, 18 years old. But days are passing, every day going, and you are not coming closer to God. You have not yet find that yearning for God. And when will you do that? This life is so beautiful. Shankaracharya also said, what this life is meant for? He said, Jivan mukti sukha prapti hetave janma dharanam. This life is to enjoy the bliss of God realization. In this very life, you realize God and live after God realization, like it's called Jivan Mukti. You are already freed while having this human life, and for that bliss of living like a realized soul, this life is meant. The earlier you realize God, that is better. So there should be an urgency to go to God, to realize God. Sometimes what happens, the people think, oh, I will do spiritual practice once these duties are finished. So much responsibility, going to office every day early in the morning, coming back tired, and when do I have time to think of God? So once this office retirement happens, then I will have plenty of time and I will do spiritual practice. I will pray, I will do japam, I will do all meditation. After that I will be free to do meditation. But the people who keep spiritual practices lingering, they don't really get time, because such people will find after they got retired, then their children, their grandchildren have been born. Now they have to do daycare. Then if they find themselves more busy than they were working, no time, daycare, this, that, and they have no time. After some time, when these children, grandchildren grow, then I will have plenty of time. Where is time? After that we run to hospital, treatment, this problem, that problem. So many organs are there, you see, in the body. So many things God have made this. And one after another, something gets sick, eye, teeth, ear, this, everything. And you run this appointment, that appointment, there is no time. And finally we see that finished, time come, and we are on the bed and nothing was done. So time has already passed. Like that, time passes. That's when one of the very nice, it says, when you go to the ocean and want to take a dip there, a beautiful ocean and this warm, hot day, I want to take deep in the water of the ocean. But there are so huge waves, and I don't know swimming. So let this wave subside, and then I will take the dip. So sitting to just wave to subside, will that ever happen? That doesn't happen. So there is urgency in the wave. You have to take a dip. While working, you have to start spiritual practice. Swami Atulananda ji used to say, he was a mother's disciple, Holy Mother's disciple, American, Dutch born. He used to say that when I was in the States and was working, he met, of course, great persons, Holy Mother's direct disciple, and he met Swami Turiyananda, direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, and had very good samskaras and very spiritual person. But what he said, in the US when I was working, that time when I was to meditate, that meditation was so fantastic. When I have time now, I have become the monk, and I'm in the state. He was, of course, very great monk also, a God-realized person. Then he says, that meditation while working, that what I used to do was better than when I am free. So that was very intense and very nice. So what has to happen will happen while we are working now itself. And that's what they say. When you are young, vigorous, energetic, that is the time you should give in spiritual practice. You need strength to practice spirituality. That is the time. Don't do late. It is said that it is never too early to begin spiritual life. It is neither too late. So suppose we have not done in our childhood, or we didn't get opportunity in our youth, and now we have an inclination to lead a spiritual life, we want to search life, we want to realize God at when we have become already senior citizens or like middle ages, 50 years, then is that okay? Can I realize God after that? It's too late, I think. I think next, I should wait for next life. But that will never happen. You have if you want to wait for next life also will become the same thing. Because our tendencies, that go along with our soul, it transmigrates into life, and what we do in this life, that tendency we carry in next life. So we have to start whenever this opportunity comes, whenever that wish comes that I want to practice spirituality. It's never too late to start a spiritual life. And it's very possible to realize God. We don't know. And when we start practicing, and if it becomes by God's grace and our samskaras, it becomes longing, we really don't know when the flash comes. One day we are meditating, maybe that time the God reveals, and listen, my child, what do you want? I am here in front of you. That may happen, and then you will be filled with the bliss of God realization. So every day there is chance that God will come. Every day. Like, there was a story in Ramayana. There was to be one old lady. Someone said, oh, God will come to you in the form of Rama. But the races didn't say when he will come. So every day she thought God will come. Used to wait for Rama to come to her. And what will she offer? It was in a forest. She used to collect some wild berries and used to get prepared with that wild berries, and she wanted to give the best berries to her Lord and wished to bite and taste first and leave the rest for offering to God. It is not a good way to offer to God what you have already tasted with your mouth, but she didn't mind that. She said, I have to offer to my Lord the best thing, and she didn't have any idea that it can be cut and tasted or something, but she wanted to taste by biting. And every day she used to keep these berries like that. And after a long wait of many years, Rama finally comes to her. And when Rama comes, then she offers that. Rama eats, she gives her teaching, and she touches her, bless her, and she attains emancipation, salvation. She goes to heaven with the blessing of Rama. So her longing wait works. But every day she was prepared that Rama may come one today. So every day was her longing, and she was never disappointed because some sage had said, Rama will come. His words will not fail, you see, it will come. So for that she was waiting with eagerness. And she was always hopeful, maybe today is the day when God will come to me. So like that, every day is the day of hope. And with that we should grow. Sri Krishna says that in the worldly life you have to do many duties, responsibilities of office, maintaining your house, children, and looking after your all the household, then where is the time for God, spiritual practice? He said, this all is like the battlefield, like the battle you do in the world. This managing this, arranging this, maintaining this, all this you have to maintain. But in that you have to think about God. And he said, remember me and fight, O Arjuna. This fight for Arjuna was the fighting of the battle, and that Arjuna's message is for us. We are all Arjunas. We don't fight in the battle, but we fight in the world, you see. We fight in the world to maintain our life here, to serve our relatives. So much of responsibilities and duties are there for a family man, family persons. Lot of responsibility. In that we have to do. If we have to take dip in ocean, which are huge waves, if you want to take dip there, you have to plunge in that waves, and then only you can do. One person was sitting, one fakir was sitting beside a river, and he was not crossing it. Another person came and said, I see you have been waiting for a long time, but you are not crossing the river. What are you doing? He said, oh, I am waiting when all water will be flown from the river and I can walk through. So this person said, it will never happen. This river is perennial river. It won't stop. It won't dry. It's not a dry river. So how will you cross without that? It will never stop. It will be flowing always. So they said, yes, you are true. That is what the life is. The responsibilities and duties of life will never end. If you have to do something, you have to do while it is going on. Mam manusmara yuddhacha. Fight the battle of life and remember me. Both together, do it both together, and then I am there to help you. That's assurance that always God gives you. I will be there. Just try to start. Sri Ramakrishna also gives another example. What type of yearning? That was from the Vedanta Sara head the fire has caught our head, and then you search for the lake to douse your fire. So much dangerous it is, so urgency it is. Sri Ramakrishna gives the lake another example, which Swami Vivekananda also explains in the Complete Works, that one student approached to the teacher and says, how can I realize God? And when can I realize God? And teacher didn't answer and says, I'll give you answer. And one day teacher said, let us go to the river to take a dip. It's very hot day, let's come. They both go together, they go to the water, and suddenly the teacher holds student's head in the water and dips it. And the student was struggling to come up to take the breath, but he was holding for a few seconds. He knew that student is struggling, forcing to come up, but he was not letting him come up. And after a few seconds, the student came up, and he was gasping for breath. And then the teacher asked the student, how were you feeling inside when I put your head under the water? He said, oh, I was dying to catch a breath. It was so terrible experience. He said, if you have such urgency to realize God, you will realize God instantly. Urgency, it should be there to realize God. So, hurry for hurry. We have to make hurry for hurry. Spiritual life should be made priority in our life. We are tired today, oh, tomorrow I'll begin, today. So tomorrow, Swami has said, and my teacher also said, do japam this. So I'm tired. So from tomorrow, this tomorrow never comes. And in one Kabir Das says in one poem, what you want to do tomorrow, do it today. And what you have to do today, do it now. Beautiful poem, he says. Otherwise, tomorrow will never come. Because there is tomorrow for tomorrow. So it will never come. Do it now, here and now. That is the things that is saying. This life is always going. Ayur nasyatu gacchati pratidinam kalo jagat vakshaka. This time eats up the whole world, whole creation. Our life is constantly going towards death. So the death is coming, approaching. When we celebrate our 50th year, 50th year birthday, what a wonderful golden jubilee we call. Big celebration, children come, grandchildren may come, and then big celebration. And we are so happy to that. But we don't realize that 50 years from our life has passed. Now from whatever our lifetime was there, 50 years have gone. Now death is closer, 50 years closer. So it can come, death can come any moment. That's how our life is passing every day. Ayu nasyati gacchati pratidinam. Pratidinam. So every day this life is going. So we have to be careful for that, because this time when passes, it doesn't come back. So every day has to be utilized for good things, and for particularly for spirituality. In one of the Hitopadesha it is said, to practice spirituality, you should always think that the death has caught hold of your hair. Means it is going to pull you. Grihita eva kesheshu mrityuna dharmam acharet. Practice spirituality with a feeling that death has caught hold of your hair. It is going to pull you any time. Remember death. That's why one of the very important spiritual practices is remembering death every day. Maybe this is my last day in life. So what is the most urgent work that I can do? The most urgent work is I can think of God. That is the most noble thing that will happen. I can be close to God in my thought. And suppose I do not die today, but I progress in spirituality by thinking God. And I get next day life least. So next day I think that it might be the last day. And that we go on practicing. Then finally one day it will be true. I think it is my last day in the world. So one day it will come true that will be the last day in our life. Last day will come, you see, that will be there. So before that we have to reach that gold mine, as they say, jackpot, as they say. It's much more greater and glorious than jackpot. In Bhaja Govindam, they say, Dinayaminyau Sayam Pratah Shishira Vasanto Punarayata. This is, you see, day and night is happening again and again, and spring and that winter season, they come again and again, recycle. And what happens to me? I am in that way, I am again go to the womb of my mother, and again I am born. Punarapi jananam, punarapi mararam, punarapi janani jathare sayanam. Again being born, in the womb of mother, born, die. Go to the womb of mother, born, die. So like that it goes on. There is urgency to realize that this infinite cycle of birth and death, it has to stop somewhere. That can happen by the grace of God. Prahlada, the devotee in the Bhagavatam, he used to continuously remember God. For God, for him, was so, in life, for him, God was always present and always taking his care. He had no doubt that there is no God who is taking care. So much dependence on God, so much surrender to God, and finally God really comes to him. You see how this, when message comes, this urgency we feel. Tulsi Das was the author of Ramayana in Hindi, very popular. He presented Rama as so beautifully, and his teachings are still sung in northern India. Very huge area of the people, like millions of people are inspired by the book of Ramacharita Manasa. That is the life of Rama in Hindi, composed by Tulsi Dasa. Great saint, God-realized person, had the vision of God. So what happened to him was, before he became a saint, he was very attached to his wife. Very much attached. God was not in his life at all. Very attached to his wife. And once his wife went to her parents' house to live some days there, to be with her parents and brothers and sisters. But Tulsi Das was so much attached to his wife that he couldn't live without her. So after she went, he ran behind her. And it was already evening, night. He crossed the river, which was in flood, and went there. And after a lot of difficulties, he reached his wife's room in her parents' house. Wife said, I had come for few days. Can't you live without me? He said, no, I cannot live without you. I love you so much. Then wife said, you have so much love for this human being? If you had so much love directed towards God, you would have realized, God, what a person you are. The tremendous love that you have for this human personality, just can't you turn that to God? So intense love you have. Just you could realize God. She insulted that person. He felt insulted, but he took that teaching, went in search of God, and did tapasya and really found God. How this happened, you see, why I bring this, when he heard this message from his wife that God can be realized with this intensity that I have misdirected towards some human being, this attachment, this attraction for the human being, if I direct to God, God can be realized, ultimate can be happen, I can get the thing that should be got in this life. He had that faith in his wife's words. He didn't feel insulted, and he felt that yes, it is true, perhaps it is true. So after he realized God, among his gurus, his wife is one. Because of her, I came to God and I realized God. So he felt the urgency of realizing God. When you feel that urgency of realizing God, you don't care for anything. The world becomes like not very that important thing that you have to be here, and the worldly objects become so important in life. And you totally forget, and your mind is totally focused on God. How to realize God, that becomes only aim of your life. In Swami Vivekananda's life, he was so consumed with the thought of God realization, like Buddha, like Tulsi Das. You see, then when he was in Kashipur, he was meditating. And he went so deep into meditation, and in India there are so many mosquitoes. Yesterday was the thing, whether we should kill mosquitoes or not, or that was the question came, mice or not, that was a big problem. So Swami Vivekananda sat under the tree, and lot of mosquitoes, and he was just calm. And he was in, like a statue is sitting. Someone said so many mosquitoes had covered his body, it seemed like a blanket has covered, he was covered with a blanket. But he was unaware of his body because he felt an urgency to realize God. And that day they said he had that spiritual awareness we call samadhi. But still he was burning for God realization. Again he wanted to have that realization. And when Yam comes after Sri Ramakrishna's passing away to Swami Vivekananda, he says, you all have attained peace and searching, and you are so happy. But I feel burning for God realization. I want to be always with God. That he had prayed to Sri Ramakrishna also. That when Sri Ramakrishna said, what do you want? He said, I want to be in samadhi, enjoy the bliss of God's presence and God's awareness, and diving deep into God's awareness, forgetting everything, that's called samadhi, being absorbed in God. And sometimes I may come just to survive this body, eat a little, and go again deep into samadhi. Guru, what Sri Ramakrishna should be very happy with such answer, such a devoted disciple who really wants God and wants nothing else in the world. Such a wonderful renunciation, dispassion for the world, whole focus to God, and he wants to be in God. Sri Ramakrishna's answer was just contrary to that satisfaction. He said, what a small-minded person you are. What thought you are saying? I thought you will be like a huge banyan tree under whose shade the people who are burning in the world will come and get a cool shade, and they will have little peace to live the life, and you yourself want to enjoy the bliss of God without taking care of the people of the world. That's what Sri Ramakrishna's thinking was. People of the world should have progress towards God. They should find the way towards light. They are groping, they are walking, crawling in the dark, and who will show the light if not people like Swami Vivekananda? And he said, isn't you who say that whatever is there, it is you, O Lord? There is a song written by a Sufi fakir. You see, Jo kuch hai so tu hi hai. Whatever is there, it's all you, O Lord. That's what Sri Ramakrishna used to say. You see God when eyes closed. Isn't the same God seen when eyes are open? That was Sri Ramakrishna. You see God in the form of your chosen ideal or form that you like, and God in various forms. That Swami Vivekananda later comes to realize, yes, whom I was meditating upon as God in my heart, that very God in various form, multifarious forms is in front of me. And he said, I believe in that God, I worship that God whom ignorant call man or human being. And everything is God. So when one realizes God, he's so much filled with bliss and knowledge and love. Every being seems as his or her most beloved God in different form. Nothing is there but the most beloved, my most beloved being in different form, in the form of a human being, in the form of a woman, in the form of a boy, in the form of a girl, in the form of an old man. But forms are external. Inside everyone is that very God. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, I see that every person is like a cover, filled with the divinity. And I see that they are moving their hands and feet. It's all by the power of divinity that is being moved. And it is divine that is present in all. When one realizes God, think of the joy. If we pray a little, you find so much joy. Just pray for something. Lord, please do that. Just have a connection to God. Prayer brings you connection to God. You feel peace. You try to meditate and your mind concentrated and you try to visualize God in your heart. You find more joy. Such a great joy and peace you feel. They say if you have like 5 minutes of 10 minutes of good meditation, whole day you will be at peace and you will be so happy that any external disturbance, difficulty, problems of life won't be able to touch you. You will be in peace as it were, whole day. So that is the power of being in touch with God, God coming to my life. So Holy Mother used to say, people talk of all the problems and all that, there's so much of restlessness and the problems of life and challenges, frustration. But where is the frustration? I feel as if the picture of peace is placed in my heart. Always there is peace and joy within me, which I find never being disturbed. Whatever happens in the world is not able to touch my peace and disturb my peace. When one realizes God, that happens. And Swamiji wrote to his beautiful Swamiji, that poem I was describing, that he said that it's all God in various forms that is there, that what Sri Ramakrishna had told him, that he came to realize. And he writes a beautiful poem, it's a very long poem, it's called To a Friend. That is the poem, written originally in Bengali, translated in English, it is in the complete works. In that he says, to realize God, I tried to search him in caves and meditated in caves and tried to do it on the bank of the river, under the forest. I tried to do all types of spiritual practice, but I couldn't really find God. Then he says, there is only one way to realize God, and that is love. Love is so powerful that it connects you to God. There is nothing else other than love that is so potent and powerful. So love, without love we cannot even meditate. Without love we cannot even pray. To pray to God, you have to have love for God. To pray to God for someone, you have to have love for that person. So it is the love that connects us to the person, to God. Without that it doesn't happen. He says, Swamiji, I read this poem and conclude my talk with this. For religion, many creeds have I sought, lived in mountain caves, on cremation grounds, by the Ganga and other sacred streams. And how many days have I passed on alms, friendless, clad in rags, with no possession, feeding from door to door, on what chance would bring. Total renunciation, nothing possession, fantastic monastic life, He was doing intense spiritual practice. The frame broken under tapasya's weight, so much austerity he practiced. What riches, ask thou, have I earned in life? What have I gained? Listen, my friend, I will speak my heart to thee. I have found in my life this truth supreme. Buffeted by waves in this world of life, there is one ferry that takes across the sea, and that ferry is love. Love God and feel that attraction to God and try to see God in everyone. And he says, where do you search God? Aren't you present in front of you in various forms, having different names? Are the same God in different forms? Ignoring them, where do you search for God? God is very much in front of you, right close to you. Just you try to see God in what you perceive. To a person who realizes God, to him everything becomes a representation of God. Everything becomes a symbol of God. Everything becomes a form of God. Whatever he touches or she touches, it becomes God. Whatever he or she listens, it becomes word of God. Whatever she or she sees, that becomes a form of God. God remains present in everywhere. And you know what God means? It means fulfillment, it means joy, it means bliss, it means the gaining ultimate thing. So there should be an urgency to realize God. Sri Ramakrishna categorically says, I don't like that idea, banata banata bani jai. Oh, it will happen in time. Just try to do in a very mild way. He said that that is not the way. There should be strength, there should be urgency, need of urgency to realize God. When that feeling of urgency comes, then a person runs to God, as the picture shows, that there is need to realize God in this life, and I have to intensify my search for God, my reaching God more vigorously. And when that happens to us, when we try to do that, then the help comes from divine itself, himself, and we feel little pulled to God through our love, through our wish, and we find someone is pushing us, someone is making us closer to God. Walking becomes simple, easy. The yearning doesn't become that hard and difficult. Oh, how will I realize God? Then I find I'm walking faster. And that pull, and we find that God is also coming to me. And there is the union and there is the attainment of God. That's called God realization. Just we need to start practicing with a sense of urgency, with sense of priority, that spirituality is a priority in life. God realization is the priority in life, and that can happen while performing our worldly duties, not without it. Mam anusmara yuddhacha, fight the battle of life and remember me. Remembering me, fight the battle of life and you will reach me. Says Sri Krishna in the Gita. What is said in the scriptures by Jesus or by Allah, by Gurus, by Sri Ramakrishna, by the sages of the Upanishad, those are all true. This is not something they have said just to inspire us. What is spoken in the Gita is true. God will definitely come if we have little yearning for them, longing for them, and if we can bring God in our daily life and we remember God while we work and perform our duties in the world. Thank you.
We have, friends, after this inspiring talk, just a few minutes for one or two questions. So please feel free to ask, and Swami will give adequate reply in a short time. There seems to be no question,
No question,
Swami.
no question, Swami.
You
Very
explained
good.
everything so well.
Everything that understood. Maharaj, only practice is needed, what is there? The teacher has said what to do, only thing to be done.
Next Sunday, yes, Vishwanath is collecting offertory. While he is doing that, I'll read about the upcoming programs. And also, as you know, there is going to be the Shabad music concert and the Sikh style devotional music. So, in the basement, already the sound setting is going on. Next Sunday, there will be the topic of discussion: unflinching devotion sans bigotry. The unflinching devotion should be there, but there shouldn't be the bigotry. So, and then after this Sunday lecture, there will be the annual general meeting of the Vedanta Society. So please make a point to attend that. Everybody is welcome for this annual general meeting. You may ask, well, am I a member? Well, everybody who attends is a member. There is really no such thing as becoming a member as of now. But yeah, so if you come, you are a member. That's it. So, and other programs during the week will go on as usual. There will be the Tuesday, Friday classes at 7:30 p.m. And then the daily meditation and other practices will be going on. Today's this lecture was so beautiful, inspiring, and my heartfelt thanks to my brother Swami Kripamayananda ji. The idea that he brought out, that we should not be just dilly-dallying about this God realization. This idea comes, and he quoted from some verses of Bhagavad Gita. Let me give one verse that is before the verse that he was quoting from Ma Manusmara Yuddhacha. The verse that comes a little before that is that, if a person passes away by thinking of God, then that person attains to God. And so that verse goes like this, that when somebody dies and then at that time is remembering God, then that person will realize God. And then our minds would say, okay, then there is ample time. I am not going to die right away. And so no hurry about going to hurry. And therefore, Lord, the great psychologist, immediately realizes this weakness in our mind and says, oh, I have to, put back the emphasis on doing it right now. And so he says, tasmat, therefore, sarveshu kaleshu, all the time, think of God, all the time. But then what about other things that I have to do? Will they, oh no, the other things will be done. While remembering God, keep on doing whatever your duty is. Mam anusmara yuddhacha, that Kripamayananda was repeatedly telling that urgency has to be felt now, because when death will come, nobody knows. It is any moment a person can be just snatched away. Not too long ago, right here in Providence, a young man came hurriedly because his dad was admitted in the hospital, and he arrived by plane, took a rental car and was rushing towards the hospital, met with a crash, and he passed away right there. Very heart-rending situation. So we never know how much is one's life. So the main work has to be done first. The other things let them follow, whether and it doesn't make much sense. Anyway, another verse that he was quoting from, he said the last part of it, that grihita iva kesheshu mrityuna dharmam acharet, as if your hair, your tuft of your hair is in the hands of death. Thinking like that, practice this devotion. The earlier part is that, well, ajara maravat prajna, other things, think that when you are trying to get money, when you are trying to get other worldly education, vidyam artham cha chintayet ajara maravat, that as if you have infinite time. Don't worry about that, because whether you get it or whether you don't get it, it does not matter that much. But the important thing is to be done right away. As they display, I read a very nice sign on an ice cream store. Eat your desserts first, life is uncertain. So the idea of hurry is important there. What is the most important thing that is to be done for that ice cream store? That was the most important thing. But if we think what is most important in life, then this to realize God, that is the goal of life. Let me do that first, and then rest will follow at its own pace. Whether it comes, doesn't come, matters not. So friends, now we will have Arati, and immediately after Arati, there will be the music concert in the basement.